Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of my YouTube channel series. I say it every week and I say it because I mean it. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting me thus far and has kept me motivated and kept me at what I'm doing. It really means a lot to me. In regards to that, you'll see in the back here, this is something that my wife did for me for my birthday, which was just this past Friday on the 6th. Yay, 34, yay, yay. Anyway, um, so she actually put this together herself, which means the world to me, honestly, because I think it's really, really cool. And this is just a reminder here in the studio to, just keep at what I'm doing. This is eat, sleep, breathe music. It's what I do. Everything I do revolves around music, and music revolves around everything that I do. So it's just something really cool that she put together for my birthday, and I really, really appreciate it. So this week's episode is going to be on what I consider to be the creativity versus loyalty debate in music. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute here. What I want to talk about first is the song that I'm going to be covering this week, which is a song called Distance by the band Faction. What really gets me about these guys is they're like a mainstream rock band, excuse me, that I really, really enjoy listening to for one thing in particular, which is the solo guitar lines, which are very melodic. There's a lot of arpeggios going on, which is something that as a musician and as a guitarist, I have some struggles with, so maybe that's why I like it so much, because I know how difficult it can be. The reason I want to do this song is because I've done it before, and I really, really enjoy it, and I know that I can play it fairly well and sing it fairly well. A good friend of mine, actually my best friend, Chris Rauber, and a good buddy of mine, Sebastian Bartlett, who I met at school, covered this song a few years ago. We played a small gig at Winberry's restaurant in Princeton, and this is one of the songs that we did for our acoustic set, so I figured it would naturally fit into what I do on the channel here. So that being said, I want to kind of segue into this whole debate thing, and the reason it gets brought up, at least in my head, is because for the longest time, I had always thought that delving into multiple projects was a breach of loyalty, as silly as that sounds. When I first got to school, I met Sebastian early on, and we became good friends. And I noticed that he was constantly into everything. Just I'm working on this project here, and I'm working on this project, and it's a completely different genre. And I really started listening to this, so I kind of want to work on this and maybe do a project here. And here I was, just doing one thing, doing the kind of acoustic singer-songwriter thing, and very stringent with sticking with that, because I felt like delving into other projects meant that I wouldn't be able to concentrate or devote as much time to this project. And slowly I realized that that's not necessarily the case. Like, as a musician, there's always things going on in my head, and it's not necessarily stuck within one single set genre. I have funk beats going on in my head. I have, rap lyrics, as silly as that may sound sometimes, just going through my brain, and I have kind of crazy bass lines every once in a while, and these are things that are just always swirling around, and finally realized that unless I actually let those out and just even explore them a little bit, then they're just stuck in my head, and nobody ever gets to hear them, and I never get to see them develop into anything, and all they are just passing thoughts that just kind of fly by in my brain and then never really see any existence. And I think that's not fair to anybody, really. So I think it finally clicked for me probably about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, year and a half ago, a little bit after we moved here, and I realized that I wanted to start these other projects. I love listening to bands like Coheed and Cambria and Circa Survive and, you know, these post-hardcore bands. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a post-hardcore project. And, you know, even though I might not have a full grasp on the chord structures and things like that, that's something that I want to pursue. That's where the fun comes in, when you're doing something that you haven't done before and you're realizing that you do have the capability and the capacity for these kinds of things. And I had started this whole epic like concept album thing, which as of right now is on the back burner because I'm pursuing this singer-songwriter gig, and that's, you know, kind of where my wheelhouse is, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's fun to kind of discover chord progressions and chord changes and things like that and rhythm patterns and whatnot, and go, you know what, this doesn't necessarily fit into what I'm doing right now, but it does work really well with something else that I'm considering doing. So why not put it down, you know, record it, and then keep it so I can still consider it for something else, you know, later on in the future. You know, if I decide that I want to take a break from doing what I'm doing right now with the whole acoustic thing, you know, maybe I'll go into that and I'll pursue that, and, you know, we'll see where that leads. And that's been a lot of fun for me. You know, I've kind of ventured into doing the pop punk thing too, working with some local guys like the old My Worst Critic guys. You know, I really enjoyed listening to pop punk, and I was in like this huge like Fall Out Boy fit for a while. I was like, for a month I was listening to nothing but them. So you can kind of get how it goes for me. The same thing goes for listening to Coheed. I'll be on this huge kick where like I won't listen to anything but them for weeks at a time, and like nothing else really seems to satisfy me musically. And then I'll eventually get out of it and I'll listen to something else, and, you know, and I'll get back into listening to everything again. So I feel like loyalty is good. I feel like, you know, you need to understand what your strong suits are as a musician and kind of stick with those things, but don't be afraid to test the waters elsewhere. You know, you never know what you're going to discover, and you never know, you might just find out that you're better at something than something else than you're really good at right now. So you never know until you try. So that's the end of that. I have some major progress to report for the EP. My good friend Sebastian Bartlett, who I mentioned earlier in the episode, a good producer, engineer friend of mine that I met at school, is actually going to be coming up to the studio in about a week here, and we are going to get this mother done. We're just gonna lock ourselves in the studio for about a day and a half and just get things done. So it's finally coming to fruition. I have everything basically 90% done, 95% done, I would say. Just a couple of tweaks here and there before I am ready to actually just sit down and do nothing but record for like a day and a half. So I'm really, really excited about that because that's a major accomplishment for me, and I'm really, really excited about it because I get things out to you guys. And hopefully I will be able to get that whole EP out to you guys fairly soon. I would say probably within the next month and a half. Depends on how long the post-production portion of everything takes, and distribution and all that kind of stuff. So that is it for this week. I want to say thank you again to everybody. Please don't forget to subscribe. There's a button right down below the video here, and I will see you guys next week.